go tweet, 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 rockin' Robin. Tweet, tweet, rockin' Robin. Tweet, tweet, blow rockin' Robin, 'cause we really gonna rock tonight.
Welcome to Life is Good. I'm Heather McKeown, your ever-loving hostess, and thankfully, this is the last week before an election, almost by the time you see this. It's the second mayoral election we've had in Newport this year. I guess it's a popular thing to do. And the next election, go out and vote, please, August 1st if you're a Newport resident. And if you're an NEK resident, it's important to watch what goes on in Newport so you can talk about us. But it's also important how the economics and how the political stuff and how people get along in Newport. And I think our leadership sets the example and the vibe for a town. So I'd like to introduce you to Roderick Owens. It's not your first time running.
No.
So tell us about yourself. First of all, where are you from and what do you do? And then we're going to get to all the leadership things you've done.
Well, working forwards or backwards? I'm originally from Columbus, Georgia, which is about 100 miles south of Atlanta. But then we moved to Atlanta. I was actually raised in a military family. I don't know many people know that. I was a military brat, so I've lived a lot of places. But eventually went back to Georgia, and that's where I graduated from a town a little outside of Atlanta called Marietta, Georgia.
I was going to say, was it Marietta?
Yes.
I have friends there.
You have more now. But yes, Marietta, Georgia, about 20 miles northwest of Atlanta. And then at about 1992, I graduated high school and headed to Vermont to go to college at the University of Vermont. And I have been here ever since.
And we're
then.
glad you are. And I'll tell you why. You're not a typical Georgian, but you are a Southern gentleman.
Thank you. That's always a compliment.
It is. Why don't you read a compliment you got on your phone?
I just put it away. This was from, that one?
Not the love letter from a fan.
Stop it. You're not supposed to tell. This is being recorded.
Okay, speak up.
No, this was from Raven's Buttons, Larissa Hammond.
Oh, I'm wearing one because I'm really promoting this business.
Yes, Raven's Buttons.
It's called Raven's Buttons, and this is a Rod Owens pin, but it's really nice. And I met Raven yesterday. I've invited her and her family here tonight. They're not here, but hello, Raven and family. I think you do lovely work, and I'm glad you live here.
Exactly. And it was wonderful to meet her. I met her and her family yesterday at Newport Naturals. And then we hung out a little bit downtown at Wednesdays on the Waterfront, but it was a pleasure. And I loved one of the posts that she put on Facebook or on social media last night. And she says,
Speak up.
"It was an honor and a pleasure to chat with Roderick J. Owens today. He is a compassionate leader. Wanted to hear what my whole family had to say, including my kiddos. I hope to call him Mayor Owens real soon. So glad I could make some buttons for him."
And they did. And
yes.
You do make a very good first impression.
Thank you. How's the second? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, you're a teacher.
Yes.
And so you know the school systems, and that's very political.
Yes.
How do you get around that?
Carefully, and by being authentic, by being who I am every day. So yes, I am a middle school English teacher at Barton Academy and Graded School. I will be going into officially my second year as the full-time middle school ELA teacher there, but my 10th year actually at that school in the school district.
Para-educator before?
More. I was a substitute basically for the first 9 years that I was there, and pretty much did every job from kindergarten all the way up to 8th grade, from custodian all the way up to, assistant principal for a day, but don't tell them.
That's enough.
Yes, and it's a beautiful part. I've enjoyed being there as long as I have, because I've literally been able to see kindergartners go all the way through 9 years of school, and and I consider it a privilege by being, a person of color that they know and has been a part of their education this whole time.
Do you know that Vermont was, until recently, when we started inviting and accepting the boys from the Sudan, we were the whitest state.
It always goes.
How's it treating you?
Well, after 31 years, I have learned and grown to love Vermont, the people of Vermont, and I've accepted Vermont.
But have they
for what it
accepted
is.
you?
I think they have. I think to a certain extent, I have been accepted, and I always feel welcome. I definitely feel welcome in my circles, and I can go out and make friends. And but no, I mean, and I'm pretty sure Vermont, switches between first and second being the whitest state.
Maine being the whitest now, and
Yeah.
I'm glad we're in Vermont. I'm glad we're becoming more diverse.
True.
And speaking of diversity, and you are from Georgia originally, what do you think about all the laws that are being changed by our presently very conservative Supreme Court for abortion and for trans rights and for all of the others?
Well, honestly, at this point, that's part of what's, pushed me to finally, enter the political fray and to, become a lot more vocal, because if it's not important now, it's never going to be important.
So, what's your opinion? I mean, how would you vote if you ever got into national politics?
I am very much a moderate Democrat. I am the chair of the Orleans County Democratic Committee, so one of the key people in Orleans County, and hoping to, build all the town committees over the next, year to get us all ready for the 2024 election.
You have 23 towns
Yes.
within this community, and I didn't
Yes.
know that many existed within Orleans. You must excuse my ignorance, folks. I've lived in this part of the country for 5 years. I was in Franklin County, Vermont for 3.5 decades. One thing I've realized since living here is I don't even ask my candidates the right questions.
Yes, you do.
Oh no, I don't. I really don't. I interviewed Linda Joy Sullivan, and I listened and I tried to ask questions, and I didn't know where we were going. She's so experienced,
Yes.
and she's from the southern part of the state, and we all speak different languages. Franklin County has a vibe of its own.
Right.
I've never spent any time in southern Vermont, but you've spent more time here than any other.
I really, really have, and and when I look at other campaigns,
Not counting Carl King, who spent even longer.
Why did you? That's interesting that you bring that up. So, because I was going to, the real local, I'm not sure what that means, because, I'm a 31-year Vermonter. I spent my first 20 years in Chittenden County. That's where I went to the University of Vermont and worked on grad school at St. Michael's College. That's where I had my daughter in 1998. That's where, I literally...
So you know the differences.
Yes, absolutely.
You love it better up here? I do.
I
love Franklin. I love Franklin County.
Yeah.
Now, back to you in national politics, back to you in state politics. You want to bring 23 villages together into the democratic way of thinking, but fiscal responsibility and stay out of my bedroom.
Well, yes, to a certain extent, absolutely. I mean, but in general, I think I'm not sure it's a Democrat versus Republican type thing anymore these days. I think right now there's so many things at stake with what's going on. I think everybody needs to speak up. Because what we're going into now politically, and ideally, I would like Orleans County, to be a little bit more in congruency with the entire state of Vermont.
Well, we have a Republican governor.
Yes,
He's
I'm
doing
a fan of him.
fantastic job.
Absolutely.
I sent him fan letters, actually.
Yes.
And, he's a politician, but I don't have to start it assuming you can read. This man is smart. And I like to see everybody work together in this state.
Absolutely.
Now, getting to the mayoral thing, there's been such a great amount of disparaging, it's been terrible. And I moved here not knowing anything about that because we joked around a lot, and I was head of the Democratic Party where I lived for a while, but the Republicans, the Moose Party, the Green Party, the Legalized Pot Party, everybody came to my house for every meeting, and we had a blast. We didn't get anything done, but we had a lot of fun, and we got along.
True. I mean, that is important. I mean, having people be able to come to the table and share their thoughts and feel comfortable, and safe to speak up is very important, and it's crucial to democracy, to making sure all voices are heard, So sometimes at the end of the day, people that are, not necessarily in favor of everybody's voices being heard, might want to wonder if they're actually in favor of democracy.
Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Was I supposed to fall down? No.
No. But if not, getting back to Newport, getting along with the board, getting along with the treasurer, getting along with the councilors and the town manager, the interim town manager,
yes.
city manager. How do you see yourself interacting with them and still getting work done?
Well, because that's that's going to be the goal that I set out to accomplish. That will be, I love, beginning with the end in mind. So no, my goal is to have more community and to have more people collaborating and a part of the process. That being said, yes, I did run in March.
Yeah.
And I did run against Beth Barnes, and she received 230 votes. I received 154 votes. So part of me running even now is to, represent the 38% of the vote that I did get in March, and those 154 people that were, that I was proud enough to have support me. So I'm very happy about that. And, and I definitely have been considered, and it's unfortunate what happened to Mayor Barnes. It's very, very much unfortunate.
Yeah, but, I don't want to see the next mayor not get along with people.
No, it's not going to be, I get along with everybody.
Okay, now I had a wonderful conversation with Clark, who is on the board, or I say the board, it's the councilors, and he's so measured in his responses. We were on the phone, and I asked one simple question, and he was so thorough that even I understood it. And I said, what should I ask? What do you want in a mayor? And he said, I want someone who will take the courses.
Oh, absolutely.
And he said they're offered for free.
Yeah.
And he said he was going to drive down, but his mother got sick, and so he and Beth canceled that trip. And Beth admits all of that. She said, I didn't know enough. I didn't take enough courses. I should have done this. I should have done that. And that was her issue, because she was out there socializing and building a community without knowing what her job was. And I don't know what your job would be. So the courses that are offered are wonderful. Will you take them?
Absolutely. And on a certain level, I've been active in local government since I was 18 years old, since I, entered into Vermont, whether it was in, the Residents Association at UVM on campus. I was a part of, the dorm life and helping those things process. I was part of the Burlington Youth Advisory Council. At 18, 19 years old, I was already doing community service, attending, school board meetings and community council meetings. Even supporting mayors that were running in the 90s and things like that. And that moved into all the work that I've done. Over the past 11 years that I've been in the Northeast Kingdom, I've attended pretty much, almost all of the Orleans Central Supervisory Union school board meetings. Oh, you
should be a saint.
I do my best, but part of it is to make sure, from an equitable standpoint, that people realize that, there are, teachers of color, people of color, there are marginalized people in these communities that, want to be included, but also want to have a seat at the table. So,
So you put yourself at the table.
Absolutely. You have to.
No matter what color, race, creed, sexual orientation, anything, you have to be representing yourself and your community, because a lot of people want to, but not often do. You never see the majority come to the meeting.
Yeah.
So good for you.
Well, and you have to be brave. You have to be brave to put yourself out there. And in order to, it's one of those quotes we've heard over time. In order to win, you have to be willing to lose. A lot of people, are willing to win, but they're not willing to lose. And a lot of us lose every day without even knowing it. And that's because we don't have a seat at the table. So, things that I've done in Orleans County, specifically, my school district, Oxu, was, I helped, honestly, going back to even before COVID, I helped raise the substitute teacher pay, which in turn raised the paras pay, which in turn raised the teacher's pay. And that took, that was a 4-year process.
Good for you.
But I was there as a substitute teacher with a college degree, getting paid minimum wage in 2017. Yes.
I know.
So, and I used to not necessarily joke, because I would do that job too, but being at Barton Academy and Graded School, it's oh great, I'm here.
And you're a broom.
Working with these wonderful kids and taking care of these kids, but I could be getting paid the same thing to be a bagger at CNC.
Yeah.
And for a minute, the only raises I got, even as a substitute teacher, was when the minimum wage went up for the state. So that's how I got raises, because the minimum wage went up for the state. And then after COVID, I realized that as much as I loved, being a substitute teacher, I actually had gone to college to be, a high school English teacher, and I didn't go into teaching right after I graduated because I went into the corporate world. I owned my own marketing company.
Oh, what did you market?
Primarily, I promoted resorts and vacation properties. So,
it's one of those things like, if you give me $5,000 this weekend, you can have a timeshare.
not exactly, but close, somewhere online. But
Oh, that's really ethical.
yes, that's
No, I was
really.
like,
We're not talking about that.
Yeah,
No.
what's your part of your
Let's-
as part of your now DNA? Are you a horse salesman?
No.
Is that what they're supposed to call it? Horse jockey?
Put it like this: places like Smuggler's Notch, like the Sugar Bush Resort
Oh, go on,
in
yeah.
Warren, or the North Star Lodge in Killington, or the Cedar Brook Club in Killington. Those were resorts that I promoted.
Well, they're worth promoting.
Yes, and at one point I was on vacation.com and part of the Vermont Chamber of Commerce, and I still am and my credentials travel agent. So resortcentral.com
That's not
is
at
my
all
website.
what I was talking about.
That's
Forgive
why
me.
I brought you back over
Thank
here.
you, because to tell you the truth, when I was married,
Yes.
my husband wanted a motorhome.
Mm.
And I mean, I can't drive. If any of you ever see me try to get up this parking space, I parked on Main Street for the Wednesdays when I was washing windows on Main Street
Yes,
yesterday.
you did great.
And my daughter, thank you, my daughter came up and she said, "Where's your car?" And I said, "It's the red one just over there." She's the one that's parked half in the road. And I said, "I can't park." And she says, "No kidding. Give me your keys," sort of thing. It's like, but so my husband bought a motorhome, and he was taken to a campground.
Yes.
They sent us a little note saying, if you come to our campground and give us $5,000, you can stay at any campground in the universe
Yes.
all year. And I'm like, we don't go camping. I don't camp. Are you kidding me? Give me a Hilton.
Well, and there are different programs and things like that.
Yeah, well, and so he said, okay. And it's like, whips out his credit card and gives them $5,000 because it sounded so good. I'm going, we're not going to use that. And I would really like to buy groceries. It's not like we had it, but the salesman was so high pressure. But if you're promoting Vermont, I love you for that.
Promoting Vermont,
It's not the same thing.
No, but promoting resorts and vacation properties. And some of them did happen to be vacation ownership, but some of them just were resorts. Because one of the jobs that I had even then was being a professional middleman. So that's why even those things, translate into what I'm doing now. Because I want to help, the people in Newport get their message to the city council. Get their message to the people making
What
the
do you
decisions.
think the biggest message we have? I've heard taxes and I've heard sewage and I've heard other things. It's nothing to do with the department, but it's all allocation of funds. Will you have any say in that?
I'm going to do the best I can to represent the people. And to go back and to answer your question, I think the biggest thing that I'm hearing from the people that I speak with is they're saying, listen to me. I mean, whether it's taxes, whether it's property rates, whether it's, sewage smells or any of those things, the main thing they're saying is, please listen to me.
So how would you take that question to the council? You'll have to look at their books and see what's allocated for certain reasons.
Well, yes.
And how much money we have.
Yes, I do have a very, very strong background in business, and I was, in the business school at the University of Vermont, and I did go to grad school for business.
I just wanted to get that out there.
Yes.
I didn't know, but
Now
we do.
But my concentration was marketing,
Yeah. So
not
you can
necessarily.
sell your ideas.
Right, and I would offer that what Newport really needs right now is they need someone that's out there talking to people and that's actually connecting, that's putting a positive public face on everything that we've got going on
I
and
believe
lifting
you.
up the positive things.
You gotta accentuate the positive and healing.
And they ask me why I want to come talk to you. Anytime.
Anytime. No, I love that. Should be my theme song. I love it. But I'm calling the cockeyed optimist. But when you say you're going to take the ideas to the council, this is a wonderful thing. What are you going to do to deal with the people in the audience who you can never please and who stand up and ask all the questions? And not all, but some of them, I've seen a lot of militancy, and it's really hard.
Absolutely.
They're very smart people.
Absolutely.
But it's frightening and the instant urge to withdraw and not respond.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the things I even shared with Pam Ladd during our interview was the first thing I want to do is lower the temperature. Like we all have to calm down and communicate and remember, we're all residents of Newport.
And it seems like they're fighting against each other now because there's one person doing this and the other person goes defensive and does this and nobody listens to anybody.
Yes.
And we've got great people in town, very smart people. I've only lived in Newport 5 years this November 2nd. And I was in Franklin County for 3.5 decades. I have no right to stand up at a meeting. I don't know the culture enough yet to be able to stand up and respectfully say, because if I ask a question, maybe that was asked 2 years ago and is being worked on. So I'm wasting people's time if I stand up and say anything. So I like to listen. But at the same
time, I mean, gently though. But at the same time, there is a way to get that question asked, and for someone to do the research, or to, whether, whomever knows that information, and without having to go back through all the minutes, or to see what's progressed, to know where that project is, or to see how that's developed. And there's a lot. I've reviewed a lot of plans for Newport and redevelopment things and things with Mifra-Magog and. And I have those same questions, like where are those programs now? Where are those things after COVID? After we were shut down the amount of time that we are, and all the ARP funds and the ESSER funds that have been received, like, and been disseminated in our communities. How are those things that have been accounted for? So no, you have to have both sides, and you have to be willing to do the work. If it requires, if I'm going to be the mayor, I want to be the best mayor I can be for Newport. So if that means go to classes, take lessons, accept feedback. Absolutely. Understand that I don't have all the answers? Absolutely. If I thought I did, no, that wouldn't make me a good mayor.
No, it wouldn't.
My goal is to talk to people and communicate with people and let them know that when they see me, no matter what's going on, they can come up and share with me. And if it's, if they want to drop me an email, anonymously with a concern, I will follow up on it. But that also means working with the city council members, because there's, I would be the fifth person. There's 5 of us working together. And I know I don't have a vote unless it's a tie, but I also know that the rest of the city council members would, respect my voice, as well as respect the fact that when I'm speaking, I am speaking with a contingency. I mean, and that being said.
You're speaking with a contingency.
Yes, the people that voted for me and the people that I'm representing. I'm not just thinking about the things that I think Newport should do or the things that I would do to improve it. No, I'm representing everyone, and I'm not just talking about, what I woke up thinking this morning. It's, there's a process. And back to your comment about the meetings. Just like in the meetings, there's a way the meetings are supposed to run. And it has nothing to do with your ego, or it has to do with Robert's rule and parliamentary procedure. So it's like, you can't play baseball with football rules. So it's like
I can't play either with any rules.
You probably could.
I couldn't.
I think you could.
Oh no. Go ahead, continue.
All right, it's all right. Okay, fine. You can't play pickleball.
I can't either. No, we won't talk about my athletic inability when it comes to coordination. But I've got to say, I know what you're saying.
Is when you're coming to those meetings, there's a expected behavior. So making sure that, we're not interrupting people, or we're being respectful and all that. And some of the conversations might not necessarily be, the city council meeting might not be the ideal place. That maybe it's the community forum that we had, in the gym the night before, where everybody had the microphone and could say whatever they wanted to say, and it wasn't in an official meeting.
Would you like to see more forums?
Absolutely. I hold forums everywhere I go. That's what's important. I mean, how else do you? I mean, if put it like this: if you are the only one talking, and you're not necessarily listening to anybody's response, it's real easy to lose touch with, what the majority of people want. Red, blue, whatever. The goal is to do the best thing for all of Newport's residents, and I think Newport as well. Newport City, Newport Town, Newport Center, Durban. I mean, even Barton. Everybody in Orleans County comes to Newport. You have to get some sort of business done, or even if it's just to go to the state offices and things like that. So, as much as some people might not think that everybody should have a voice, like you have a voice, you've been here 5 years. And even with the voting laws.
In Vermont, nearly 40, but
yes.
But to get back to that, knowing the culture of the people takes time. Knowing the culture of the vocabulary and how to ask takes time.
Absolutely.
And right now I'm a watching person, because if I'm an observer, I'll learn.
Good.
And I think
but
one thing I haven't been able to tolerate is the pain I feel watching those meetings when people don't get along, because we should be of one accord.
yeah.
And if Newport, I'm a mediator by profession.
Absolutely.
If we have someone who can lower the temperature with mutual respect, respect for all, then we'll be so far ahead. But the audience also must learn to respect the council, and respect the mayor, and respect the treasurer, and respect whoever else is sitting up there.
And I wouldn't even necessarily go as far as, respect, just appreciate, what those people have been willing to do to put themselves out there and to let their voice be heard, for better or for worse. I mean, because that being said, like, I have been in the Northeast Kingdom since 2012.
Yeah.
And I can truthfully say that my first 20 years in Chittenden County have been different than my last 11, 12 years. I mean, but the facts are that, after my daughter graduated from Lake Region in 2017, I had an opportunity and a decision to leave or go back to Chittenden County, or even leave the state entirely. And then after she graduated from college in 2021, I still, had the opportunity. I still do. But I'm choosing to stay here. And the important thing is, yes, I have dealt with difficult things in the Northeast Kingdom. And that's why, in this day and age, anybody that wants to fix things and make things better, we have to lean into this. We can't look the other way. We can't be complicit, because if you're complicit, you're in agreement.
You might as well.
Don't say I'm abstaining, because by abstaining, you cast your vote.
Exactly.
And your silence is casting a vote. So, no, I'm here to make sure that people remember that everybody, whether you rent or whether you own, whether you've been here 1 year or whether you've been here 30, 40, 50 years. And I would never do anything to make Newport less inclusive.
Thank you.
I would never do anything that say I'm only out for the real locals. Like, what does that mean? I mean,
it means you don't like me. No, I've never heard that. Have you ever heard that from a candidate?
I might even be on a sign if you look around. But
oh, really?
You'll see it later. But it's the whole point is, like, Newport City has so much to offer. We've got beautiful opportunities. We're international. And there's so much more positive things that we could be highlighting.
I know.
And right now, even this, and there's a lot of good things that are going to come out of what happened in March. I mean, even as we move into this, special election for August 1st, other people are already starting to get involved. Other people are starting to take this position, the city council positions, the position of mayor, all of even our municipal workers' positions, that much more serious. Certain things that we might have neglected, or, they're just doing, no.
You know what? My vision, I mean, I think a light has gone on in Newport.
Yeah.
And I feel extremely optimistic right now about the future and the immediate future.
Absolutely.
Because there's such a vibe. Everything's so good. And not just because it's summer. I've been given a great opportunity here recently, and I just think people are open. I made a crazy suggestion. It was approved, and it will come to light, and with any luck, it'll get bigger and better. But I can't believe the reception I've had here when it comes to stuff I do. And I'm just so grateful. And I've met really nice people, and they're here now behind the camera. Do you have any questions, studio audience? Brian and Nancy. Why don't you just ask her to marry you? That's a good question.
I do. Would you do that during my interview? That would be touching. I might cry.
Yeah. If somebody asked you to marry them?
Stop.
Oh, wouldn't that be well?
Not somebody.
Them.
Okay. This is about me.
You. It's all about me.
This next
I'm sorry,
20 minutes.
I do have my closest Newport friend. I've got two about the same closeness. One moved to Morgan and got married. Norton and got married, and I was extremely upset that she got married and moved away, but I love her to pieces, and that's Lisa. And then Brian, who you all know because he's president of this NEK-TV, and he's a great teacher at the high school. And we've just got good news all the way around, eh, Brian? And Nancy?
Yes, they're
You're
here.
a great addition to Newport, Nancy. And how do you feel as a new person is visiting constantly?
I love Vermont. I feel like I was
Speak up,
meant-
Nancy.
I love Vermont. I feel like I was meant to live here.
Yes, you do feel like I have definitely enjoyed getting to know you, and I loved seeing your support for Brian during the play that we were in, and it was great because even in that play that he and I were in together, that started in 2020.
I know.
It got postponed, it got shelved, and
Then he got a new director, and
Yes.
we did the British thing instead of the movie thing.
But even in all of that, it was like no matter what, I wanted to be with that group of people. I wanted to finish what I started, and that's kind of how I approach everything. So, there is no quit, there is no give up, there is no surrender. Whatever it takes, whatever a level of diplomacy, or just being firm. But at the same time, it takes compassion, it takes empathy, because everybody's going through their same type of struggles, and we're all here trying to get the best out of this thing called life. And that's why life is good, because it is good. Once you decide it's good, it's good. Like, did I know that I would be running for mayor twice in the same year? No, didn't plan for that. But would never look a gift horse in the mouth. And I just, the people that I'm meeting and the people and having that opportunity is just, no matter what, I want people to know that I absolutely, that's one of my slogan. Everybody wins with Owens. Everybody. Why? Because if you're willing to tell me what your needs and desires and what what you make it, you're living your life and what you think could improve Newport.
I don't know when the last time was a man asked me what my needs and desires were, but thanks. Anyway,
it's very important.
it's very important. Anyway, all I can say is this: you gotta have humor, right? You have to have a sense of humor.
Yes.
And I think Newport is on the cusp of great things. Last question. If you come second this time to somebody else, how will you help that person? And if you come first this time, how will you include the other candidates in your running of Newport?
Well, no matter what, now that things in my educational life and school life have calmed down a little, I feel a lot more comfortable with my curriculum at school and when I'm teaching my kiddos. So I'm definitely planning to do more, business and marketing and outreach things in Newport City, no matter what. So, my business is like, Resort Central. I'm a marketing professional by
I know,
trade.
but that's not my question. My question was, how are you going to help the other person, or that's how you're going to help the other person.
Yes.
How would you like them to help you, given their platforms?
I would help. I would accept whatever help and appreciate whatever help they had to offer, and I would always be willing to listen to them.
Yeah.
And do the best I can to meet them where they are, and then together we can move to a different spot. But
It takes a village, and sometimes it
so
takes
much.
It takes village, and I think that collaborative attitude is very healthy. Anyway, I really am glad you came to see me again, and I'm glad my fire didn't smoke you out.
No, it's great. I like the ambiance.
That's good. That's my pacemaker shorting out.
No.
No, what's that? Your phone?
It's all right. I don't know what you're
Anyway,
talking about.
this is Roderick Owens, and candidate again for
Yes.
mayor. And no matter who wins this election, we've had terrific candidates. And when you see the passion come from Roderick, proven around here, it makes you think. It makes you think of just how optimistic we can be, because there are people like Roderick here. And I know there are other people running, and I've interviewed Linda Joy Sullivan, and I'm just as excited because I'm such a wishy-washy person. I like them both, and I think no matter who wins this particular election, we're going to be richer for it if they can collaborate one and one, because they're both winners in my book.
But truth be told,
Yes?
I have been considering running for mayor for more than a year. I mean, since I first moved into the Northeast Kingdom back in 2012, and all of my visits, I've thought and seen ways, and I was even prepared, to run against Mayor Monette if he was going to run again in March. So no matter what happened, I was going to be entering the fray. And this, no matter what happens, whether I win, lose, second, fourth, I am going to do my best to make sure that everyone's voice is heard.
Okay.
And present, and I'll always present an authentic and genuine voice. And honestly, there's not much to me because everything that I am, I show every day.
And there's another question. Would you like to go into state politics?
Not right now. Right now, I'm focused on Newport City.
Have you ever thought of that? Being in the Democratic big leagues there?
I'm going to do my best to serve the residents of Newport City. And if that's...
You're such a politician.
No, that's the truth.
It's true.
It's inchworm technique.
Inchworm.
Yeah.
Oh.
See?
You see, inchworm technique. I used to have... My last show, it ran for 10 years. And we had Greek Orthodox monks living close to me. I lived in East Berkshire. They lived in Richford. They had a monastery, and they were the outcasts of monkdom. They wanted Vermont to secede from the nation, and they were really great in so many ways. And Father Theophil was the bishop, and Bishop Theophil, elderly man. I had him on my show 10 times in 10 years, and then he passed away. And he would always say, spiritually, we're always like inchworms. We're just inchworms, and it takes the rush out of, I mean, not the rush, it takes the urge to get all the answers and touch the sun away if you're looking and seeking spiritually, that you don't have to rush, it comes to you as it should.
Absolutely.
And so these bad boys, I'm telling you, they're still, the ones who are still living are still my friends. But anyway, so when he died, Father Lazarus called me and said, come and say goodbye, because he's in the living room, which is an odd name for a place where a man is lying dead. It's the living room. Go, there's irony there, but they had a great sense of humor. And I paint, so I painted an inchworm on a rock, and I put it in his hand. It was a very sad moment for me because I loved him so much. And I'm not of his faith, but he didn't care.
No.
Great man of faith, but inchworms, that is a very, very, very meaningful thing for me.
Thank you. I'm glad I could lift that. I mean, but and to add, every day, I have a positive mental attitude and I have a growth mindset. And every day I want to be, as a teacher, I want to be a better teacher than I was the day before. And every day as a person, I want to be a better person than I was the day before. And as the mayor, I would want to be a better mayor than I was the day before. So every day that you have the ability or opportunity to improve upon yourself, take it.
I agree.
And that's kind of that's how I got here. And I'm happy to be
here. In my backyard.
Yes. But but from somebody that, if you had asked me when I was a single parent with full legal and physical custody of my 4-month-old daughter,
I know.
24 years ago, that I would now have a Harvard graduate that's, taught for 2 years in Harlem and enjoyed being in that, but is now back in Burlington and is working on her medical school and has, allowed me to move to the point where I can give back to the community and share and instill, it feels good. And being able to have 60 students, that count on me in my school to be consistent and to be genuine and I am so happy. I am literally happy. And anytime I have the opportunity to share and make somebody else's life happy, I'm going to take it.
Oh, good. You've left me with a good feeling today.
Thank you.
Well, folks, I know I've tried to shut off the show before, but isn't this great when you have someone who likes to talk?
I do like to talk.
And someone who likes to listen. And we both love Newport.
Absolutely.
And thanks, Brian. Thanks, Nancy. And all my love to everybody out there. Vote August 1st, no matter who you choose.
Exactly.
The idea that we live in a democracy, the idea that we need to vote.
Yes. No matter who you vote for, no matter what happens.
And what's really amazing is I became an American citizen so I could vote and so I could write. I was a political writer from the age of 19 in Canada. And then when I moved to the States, I couldn't write politically or have an opinion
Right.
It wasn't my place unless I married the country. And I took those vows very seriously.
Absolutely.
Husbands come and go, but I'm still a very proud American and very, very religiously affiliated with how I feel about being here.
Absolutely.
And I don't know about voting, folks. I just think it's so great. I think if you get out there, if you don't use it, you'll lose it.
That is true. And no matter what happens, I just want to have more people vote on August 1st than
1st.
voted on March 7th.
And if you need a ride or anything, people will offer rides. Reach out, call the town hall.
Yeah.
And,
Absentee ballots are available now.
yeah, and all I can say is thank you very much for watching Life is Good, because life is good. And let's fight for democracy by voting.
Exactly.
See you soon. Thank you very much.
They started going steady and bless my soul. He out popped the buzzard and the Oreo. He rocks in the treetop all the day long, hopping and a bopping and a singing his song. All the little birds on Jaybird Street love to hear the robin go tweet, tweet, tweet. Rockin' Robin, tweet, tweet, rockin' Robin, tweet, tweet, tweet. Slow rockin' Robin, 'cause we're really gonna rock tonight.